Hello, good morning. It's been a while. My life hasn't really been in a place where I can make these live streams all the time. It's a case of where I was last year when I came out with all those statements of healing and multi-billion pound ideas. I've wanted to acknowledge them, and because my life is still in a state of flux, sorry, I'm making my packed lunch at the same time, I've not been able to address them. And it feels like, how can I go on talking about other ideas when I'm not coming back and addressing such big statements? It's not right to just do that. But what I'm thinking is, well, it's not what I'm thinking. I just had a clear idea for a live stream this morning, and in that place I thought, let's make the live stream, and at the right time, when my life has calmed down a bit, because that's what I'm waiting for ultimately, I can come back and I can address the elephants in the room. There's more than one. Let's see if I can sit down while I'm doing some chopping. So yeah, I have to let the collective psychosis go. Now, don't worry, it's not the Collective Psychosis, the YouTube channel, but it's the collective psychosis in its purest sense of what it means in this world and what it means in its impact upon me. So what's the collective psychosis? You've obviously, for those of you that don't watch the channel all the time, the collective psychosis is something that's formed over the course of my mental health, my perception of the world, through my own struggles, through my own hardships and hard times where I've been pressed, and really intense moments that I can't escape from, and I have to experience on that level. I've had to experience on that level. And through elements of psychosis, because that's how the collective psychosis communicate. I've seen that here in the UK at least, and from what I can ascertain, and I'm getting to it, the rest of the world, there's a secret collective awakening taking place on the planet. And I don't know what stage it's at, but there's a way of communicating hidden within ordinary language and ordinary day-to-day happenings of a different conscious, organized behavior that doesn't quite make sense to me, but it's taking place within people. So in other words, people are behaving in a certain way that you can see there's an organized conscious application, and this takes place within everything within society, so everything that happens on a day-to-day basis. And it's my discussion with members of the collective psychosis on the outside through the channel of what is taking place, what is going on, why is this happening. And it's been very unpleasant to experience from my perspective. It's been very hard. It's put me in places I could never have imagined having to experience in this life. Go through turmoils and hardships. And it's to get a greater explanation why. So when I say I'm leaving the collective psychosis, what I'm trying to leave is that impact upon me that my eyes can't get away from, my ears can't get away from, my senses are tuned into it now. So when I'm watching YouTube, I'm not just watching random videos anymore. There's an organized collective structure going through it, of the collective psychosis, that has symbols and meanings and timings and applications to this world that impact an individual. And it's really hard to live like that, you know, to want to just zone out for a bit and watch some YouTube videos and chill out a bit, you know, on whatever topic and subject matter you want, and instead you're getting this alternative narrative about what's going on, and it can instigate a lot of anxiety and a lot of it's a lot of anxiety, and it comes from where an individual finds themselves in this world, if they're honest with themselves. The world's a big, scary place. And we have to trust in other people a lot. In everyday events, we trust in the monetary system. We trust that I go into a shop and something says £1, €1, $1, I pull out the equivalent money in my pocket and give it to the shop owner. I trust that that transaction is going to go through for $1 for $1. And you begin, and there's a certain understanding within that monetary system of how it works. Now, the collective psychosis, through the way they communicate, they can make you understand money in a different way. Yes, $1 is $1, €1 is €1. But why are you spending it? It gets into your head. And you could say, oh, it's your mental health disorder, Gabriel. And it is. It is my mental health disorder, but I'm one of the few people in the UK that has that label of a mental health disorder. My understanding is that that same mental health disorder is applied to everybody else, and everybody else has that same mental health disorder with a different understanding of what's going on. Somehow everybody else gets it, you know, that everybody else gets the collective psychosis, the purpose, the application. And if you get it, you don't have the label of a mental health disorder. If you get it, you don't have to take medication. And if you don't, you're left to figure it out. And in everything that's happened over the last year, the way it's affected my life is, I've not been able to sweep it under the mat. There's serious progressions on the teachings the collective psychosis have given to me. So it's like an education course. The collective psychosis have put me through a university degree of the collective psychosis of life, of this secret awakening that's taking place. And the events of the past year have been so serious, I've had to take stock. And contemplating everything, reflecting on everything that's happened and where I've had to take stock. I've realised, and I was doing it to a certain extent before, but I've realised I can't listen to the collective psychosis. For instance, Mercury retrograde is happening tomorrow, the 23rd of August 2023. Now I know about astrology to a certain extent, and I know about Mercury retrograde, and I'm within my rights to act upon Mercury retrograde. Like, you're not meant to really sign contracts, you know. Everything can go a bit skewed within Mercury retrograde. So you have to be really on the ball. But how does the rest of the world know about Mercury retrograde? They don't. They don't know about astrology. But the collective psychosis have shown me, hang on a second, we're the collective psychosis and we know about Mercury retrograde. I don't know how that's possible, but somehow it's what's happened. Mercury retrograde has come to the awareness of collective psychosis that are in the swarms of people in society that don't know about astrology. So what was I saying? Yeah, and it can, if I'm watching YouTube videos and the collective psychosis are talking to me, communicating to me, well, they're not talking to me. It's a message put out there, a subliminal message on top of whatever the content is of the YouTube channel. So it's like another reference to this organisation that the collective psychosis have in play. And it's difficult for me to live my life and detach from that alternative message. And just, not to a certain extent, in the past few years I realised I needed to try and block it out. Once I tried to block it out, it got rid of a certain amount of all of the haze and confusion and fuss for me, but it was still there. Now is to be consciously aware that the collective psychosis they're about, is here. Keeps going out. And yes, this subliminal message is also coming through, or alternative message is coming through. But I've got to distance myself from it. I've got to let it go. Because I was sitting here not too long ago, and if I take on board this alternative message that I don't really understand, I understand what it was trying to imply, how to live my life in a certain way, you know, what's taking place now within society and the wider world. But it's very debilitating when you're confused about it and you don't understand it. So I've had to make the conscious decision, you know, I've got to just live my life minus this other message. Much love. And that's where I've got to let the collective psychosis go. I've got to let go of this message that you put out there as, I don't know for the reasons. I have my suspicions, but I don't know for sure the reasons of why you're doing what you're doing. And I've got to let it go, because if I don't, trying to live my life, which is a very simple life, it's very empty at the moment. And my life is difficult enough as it is because I have that label of a mental health disorder, and I have that fear of medication and the mental health system. And I know how unpleasant that medication is to take for me. I don't think it's the same for everybody, but for me, I react very badly to the side effects. I have a health conscious background, and medication and chemicals are a big no-no. So probably on a mental level, it probably amplifies how the negative effects of the medication upon my body, psychosomatic effects. And for me to be in control of my life and do these simple things I'm trying to do every day, stay in control, get better, recover from my mental health disorder, though it doesn't look like it's ever going away, but to be able to live with my own mental health disorder and live alongside the collective psychosis that don't look like they're going away anytime soon. I've got to put that alternative message to one side. Take all of the anxiety that it creates in me and get on with my life. So that's where I say I'm letting go of the collective psychosis. These videos can still continue. I just can't continue in the same way. So, thank you, Collective Psychosis, for this recent amping up in your messages of late, where they're creating more anxiety in me. But I've got to be responsible. And if I'm going to live with my mental health disorder, where the collective psychosis isn't going to disappear anytime soon, I've got to learn to live with it. And to learn to live with it is just to feel all of the anxiety now and put it to one side and keep things as simple as possible. So this is Gabriel wishing everybody well for the next few weeks of this Mercury retrograde, where life becomes a little bit more challenging. and whatever the autumn and winter months have in store thereafter. But I'm getting on with my life. I'm getting on with my challenges, and I don't need any more challenges, thank you.